Welcome back to DBL. We've got Dr. Coley joining us to break down some very important health headlines. So first up, as we mentioned, President Biden returned to the White House yesterday after several days in isolation for COVID. So Dr. Coley, I've heard a lot of people catching COVID, a lot, almost like all around me. So is there a COVID summer surge right now?
There definitely is. In fact, my patients are calling me every single week saying, I've got COVID, what do I do? This is unexpected because we kept talking about how over the summer respiratory viruses go down, right? We don't see flu, we don't see RSV. Right. So this is a little bit surprising. I don't think we should be worried because for most of us, it's still a mild illness. Now, there's certainly those that are older, like our president, immunocompromised, chronic health conditions, pregnant women. I mean, people are still dying from COVID, so I don't want to minimize it. But at the same time, for the average person, I think it is more of a cold at this point. If you have COVID, I would say every single person should call their doctor and check whether or not Paxlovid, which is this, antiviral that we use, whether or not they need it to treat the COVID. But it was the question of why we're having a summer wave is still something scientists haven't figured out. We think some of it is our behavior, but because we're not seeing a rise in flu and other respiratory viruses. Interesting. I think it's that the virus has gotten so smart that it's tricking our immune system.
So it's happening again. Wow. It's happening in the Olympics too. The Australian water polo team. One player had it, and the coach did not isolate that player, thought, oh, it's just a bug, he'll be fine. Now 5 water polo players have it, so be careful, people.
Yes, well, I mean, Dr. Coley, that kind of blends into what I was going to ask you, because it seems like this kind of variant is cool with everybody. So, and is that why they call it the FLIRT variant?
You like that name?
A little bit.
Come up with that? No, I wish I could take credit for it, but it makes it sound sexy, but it's the opposite. It's not sexy. So it's a descendant of Omicron, which was, remember that variant of COVID, the family of COVID, that doesn't make us super sick. So that's the good news. But it's mutated in such a way that where the antibodies would stick and neutralize the virus, kind of get rid of it, it's changed that site. So many of us who've been vaccinated or had COVID before, we have antibodies. Those antibodies don't work as well anymore. So that's what has made it a little bit smarter at evading our immune system. But it's kind of an innocuous name, but I would say you still want to be very careful. The other thing with this variant, because most of us have had it or have been vaccinated, is that if you test on the first day of symptoms and it comes out negative, you get that false impression that you don't have COVID. And remember, now that we've been exposed to COVID before, our immune system gets tickled even with the tiniest amounts of virus particles around. So what I tell patients, test on day 1, but then also test on day 3 or day 4, because your false negative tests are very high on day 1, because it's a tiny bit of virus. It's more your immune system that's making advice.
Is it ironic, Doc, that COVID comes around every presidential election? She doesn't want to take a bite of that conspiracy theory.
It's never gone away.
No, but weren't we dealing with this from the last election? The COVID was all mixed up and everyone's fighting and...
But Sam is making a good point. It's endemic now, Jeff. We're living alongside this. It is never going to go away. It has declared itself, but whether it should be an issue to discuss at every presidential election, that's where I'm not sure.
There we go. All right, switching gears here, I want to ask you about these companies called like Hims and Hers.
Yes.
Have you guys seen these?
Yes.
So they run ads like this one. They offer weight loss medication for women, ED for men. It's not in the prompter, but I got to get in there. These companies offer consumers these quick access to meds that arrive by mail shortly after a telehealth appointment. Now, there are other companies, including from the actual pharmaceutical industry, that dole out ADHD meds, antidepressants, and more. What are your thoughts? If it's from the pharmaceutical, that seems like a monopoly and a conflict of interest.
It's huge conflict, and I say this is marketing, not medicine, and it kind of makes me sick because medicine needs to be pure. Medicine needs to be about just your health, about what's good for you. So I would say we as the consumers need to be more informed. Now, telehealth is a great platform. It's a great way to get people access to medicine that may not have it, but having somebody who might be working out of their garage or somebody who may or may not be regulated, which we know many of these companies are not writing you prescriptions that you're putting inside of you, it's scary. And you need to be smarter than those companies out there that are just preying on your vulnerabilities.
How predatory. Not okay with that. Not at all. Thank you, Dr. Coley, for joining us. We always appreciate you. DBL Nation, make sure to follow Dr. Coley on social media at Pyle Coley MD. Also, be sure to subscribe to her YouTube page. Plus, check out her podcast, Heart of Medicine, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you again, Doc. We'll be right back.